This is really nice.
Ooh, bacon.
Greetings, tasty morsels. It's Reverse BLT here. Welcome to the channel. I am about to watch the season finale of the third season of The Mandalorian. Finally, I'm up. I got pretty far behind this month on things, but I'm finally going to watch it. And I'm pretty excited to get into it. I believe this one is called The Return. I don't know who's returning, from where they're returning, or what's going on. I assume that this the main thing is that this is about the return of the Mandalorians to Mandalore, but that doesn't really make a lot of sense because they did that already. Last episode, of course, they did return under the leadership of Bo-Katan to try and basically get to the Great Forge and reclaim that, and basically, make sure the planet was safe, and then start bringing down the different Mandalorians from orbit to start the process of reclaiming their homeworld. Last episode was called The Spies, which I still think is a weird title because we only saw one confirmed spy in that episode, which was what's her name? Elia Kane, I think. Or Alia Kane, I forget what her first name is. Something like that though, Alia. Who is in the amnesty program, basically just pretending to be a reformed Imperial who's dedicated to a new life under the New Republic, but of course is still working for Moff Gideon. That's the only one we saw that we know for a fact is a spy. The the only other people who seemed shady at first were the Mandalorians that they discovered on the planet, who apparently have been living there this whole time. I have managed to avoid any spoilers, thankfully, but I did see a bunch of interesting theories leading, like right after that last episode, that all center around the idea that the armorer is somehow a spy for Moff Gideon, or the Empire or something, which is just, if so, the show is definitely going to have to give us justification for that twist, because there has been literally nothing so far in the series to give us any reason to believe that she would be working for the Empire. I definitely have my suspicions about stuff that about her plans, related to like the way that she's been using sort of Bo-Katan, like the whole thing of like, oh, you walk both worlds, and go ahead and take off your helmet after making such a big deal out of it and everything. But my thinking there was just that she was being maybe overly optimistic about the results of that, or had just really, really bought in to the stuff that like Bo had mentioned about seeing the mythosaur and all that kind of stuff. So that maybe she just became a true believer. I didn't say to myself, this woman is trying to destroy Mandalore from within. It just, I need to see some backstory and a whole bunch of other stuff to accept that as an idea. Like I tell people all the time, what makes a good twist is really that in retrospect it makes sense. You can see all the different points in the narrative, in which, if you had known the person, or if you had known what the twist was, those things make complete and total sense, just in a different way. When you go back and you can't see any of the building blocks and clues that feed into the twist with recontextualized information, that's what we call an ass pull, folks.
What a twist!
We got the sad yet also awesomely hilarious bit last episode with IG-11 being repurposed into a mech for Grogu, basically, that is now known as IG-12. It pretty much can only say yes and no when he pushes buttons, but Grogu used it to break up a fight between, the guy that basically had been leading the Night Owls in Bo-Katan's stead, or after Bo-Katan was kicked out, I suppose you could say. And Paz Vizsla, who, obviously is very, well, was, I should say, we'll get to that in a moment, but was very dedicated to the Children of the Watch's interpretation of the Creed. And Grogu stepped in as, a young foundling who sort of uniquely positioned because of the fact that he was just this kid to be able to basically shame them both into acting like adults, which was really great. So he then basically pledged himself as almost like a knight to Bo-Katan's house in a way. And the armorer went up into orbit with a bunch of the guys who had been, sort of living on Mandalore all this time, who I guess were very sick and needed medical attention, went up to the Mando fleet in orbit to get them said medical attention. Now, of course, if it turns out that she really is a double agent, then this is going to be some sort of trap. I expected her to, clear the cloud cover to see that the fleet was already under assault by Imperial forces, since obviously Moff Gideon was pretty much lying in wait for them there. But that wasn't the case. So either the Mandos that she's bringing up with her are Trojan horses, or she herself is a Trojan horse. So I guess we'll find out, or all of them, who knows. And of course, back on planet side, Moff Gideon came with this massive amount of cultural appropriation in a brand new Dark Trooper / Mandalorian suit of armor with a bunch of newly, augmented Dark Troopers who are humans again, I guess, instead of machines, but are, armored with Beskar, and had laid an ambush for the Mandos down there. It ended up, not quite going the way he wanted it to, I think, because of the fact that Paz Vizsla basically sacrificed himself to create a choke point to hold the Dark Troopers there, while Bo-Katan and the rest of the Mandalorians, in theory at least, escaped. And the guy whose name I can't remember, who was leading the Night Owls while Bo-Katan was gone, attempted to go up to the surface and possibly try to break cloud cover to communicate the situation to the Mando fleet. Now, this is one of those things where I don't even know what to think here, because I talked about it in a previous episode and during my reaction, that time is kind of wonky in The Mandalorian when it comes to travel and stuff, because it seemed to take the better part of a day for the armor to make it above the cloud cover, when it really shouldn't have taken even remotely that long, considering what we've seen of how fast things can move in Star Wars. And this particular lone Mandalorian is just going to be using the thrust of his jetpack, which shouldn't even come close to the thrust of a ship. So it should, if it took the armorer like the better part of a day, it should take him well over a day in theory. Now, in reality, I would expect it only to take him maybe, a couple of hours, just like I would only have expected it to take her like 15 minutes or something, considering the thrust on those freaking things, to make it up there, at least above the cloud cover. So I'm just really generally confused about travel times in The Mandalorian. But Star Wars has always kind of played fast and loose with travel. So I guess I should be used to it by this point. It's just a show. We got to see the Shadow Council. That was fun. And we got some more name drops for Grand Admiral Thrawn. And we got to see that that Moff Gideon is making a play for power, which I stand by my assessment on that, or my prediction on that will end very badly for him. Because, we've seen Gideon is very smart. He's a chess player, but obviously we all know, those of us who remember Grand Admiral Thrawn from the previous canon and everything, know that he is supposed to be like about the most 3D chess playing, or what do they call it? 3D chess playing kind of strategic geniuses that the Empire ever had, pretty much. So I'm expecting Moff Gideon to be outmaneuvered and brought down hard by Grand Admiral Thrawn. I'm just wondering if we're going to see him though by the end of this episode, since this is the finale. Considering that everything is kind of leading to that, I would think this would be a very good time to give us our first like on-screen look at Grand Admiral Thrawn. But anyway, I've rambled enough as always, so let's go ahead and just get into this episode and find out what the return is. Is it the return of Grand Admiral Thrawn and the Empire and everything? I mean, that was also another good option that I didn't even think to talk about. So maybe it's that.
You held Pershing and were attempting your own experiments on Navarro.
The creation of clones is your obsession, not mine.
What is Gideon trying to create clones for? Just trying to replicate what the Old Republic had done by creating clone troopers, except now a big army of cloned dark troopers? That would make sense.
The purge of Mandalore will be complete.
Oh, yeah. And these motherfuckers. I will say, as tragic as that was, it was nice to actually get a moment to see, that to see just how badass the Praetorians are. We got to see them a little bit, obviously, in episode 8, but I don't know. That scene didn't show them off as much as I would have liked. I think this scene here showed them off a little better.
Use the capital ship as a decoy. We can't beat them in the air. We have to beat them on the ground.
Understood.
Okay, see what I mean about time being wonky? They can't have been running out of here by more than like 30, 40 minutes at this point, and he's already about to break atmosphere. How did those guys not see her plant that charge? So I have a feeling Din's about to have his helmet taken off again. Oh, there we go. Where's that vibrating blade? I mean, it's like the whole point of that thing, right? Is that it can go through Beskar? Yeah, Din. Ah, crap. Break his neck. There you go. Grab his blaster and shoot him in between the joints.
No.
Yeah, Grogu. Of course, you could, use the Force.
Okay.
I'm just gonna spray you with the stuff. That needs like a blast shield.
If we don't take out Moff Gideon, this will never end. You with me?
Oh, is Grogu about to get his first proper kill? Sith Grogu begins.
Their capital ship will soon be destroyed. But the Mandalorian has escaped. Shall we engage?
No, I will handle this myself.
I'll take care of him myself.
Of course.
You're gonna have to scomp into the base and get me the location of Moff Gideon's command center.
Poor R5. You're an astromech, dude. All of you guys are capable of greatness. Don't stand near the edge and look over. What's wrong with you? Also, why is he even afraid of that? He's got little rockets anyhow. Little black droid comes around a corner. Just like looking at him. You don't belong here.
Load the gauntlets and send all available troops down as reinforcements. Leave the capital ship behind as a decoy. I'll take care of the cruiser. Everyone go. Move.
Too bad you don't have AI in these things, because you could just basically program the ship to start attacking while you're not there.
Go.
Maybe it's him that we weren't supposed to trust. This is either a setup for his noble sacrifice, or he's about to betray everybody. And where's the armorer and the ship that she was bringing up with the survivors? If she comes up out of the cloud cover, I'm gonna be real pissed. One of the great weaknesses of ships in the Star Wars universe, they always have these like giant superstructures sticking up off their surfaces that have command and control and such in them. You have freaking scanners and everything. Bury that stuff deep inside the ship like you got brains.
I don't have any weapons. so this might get messy.
The Force.
Deactivate the first shield.
Wait a minute. Did these guys literally just stand here all day doing nothing? Man, I thought retail was bad. What is the point of those?
Next shield.
Like, why do you have this big chasm? These chasms for people to fall down in. What the hell, man? Star Wars design always makes me laugh. There really needs to be an OSHA. I knew the black droid was going to come around and be like, what are you doing?
R5, next shield.
Man, all of that could have been a lot easier if Grogu remembered that he has this little magical ability called the Force. Those clones all seem to have big kind of heads. We know they wanted Grogu for presumably to inject Force sensitivity into these guys. Or, well, we don't know that, but it's a reasonable assumption. Why on earth are any of them aware?
Let's go.
Oh, okay. Decided to take the time to kill a bunch of clones. I can't approve of that. I mean, they're clones, man. They're just because you have the same genetic material as somebody doesn't mean you're the same as that person. Those guys didn't even get a chance to be anything, good or bad.
I've only ever seen gardens in the domed cities. I never knew the surface could still sustain plant life.
All they need is room to grow.
Lady Kryze, your reinforcements have arrived. Let's take back our planet.
Okay, seriously, who the hell were the spies? I know that may seem like a weird point to harp on, guys, but like, I really don't like bait titles, and it's starting to feel more and more like that was just a bait title, and there really was just the one spy. That irritates me. Everyone, form up on me. That was a pretty badass moment right there, actually. Man, it's too bad you don't have that spear that can go through Beskar right now. Hey, Grogu, don't forget you have the Force in this particular encounter. What a trap! Que surprise!
My clones were finally going to be perfect. The best parts of me, but improved by adding the one thing I never had.
The Force.
The Force.
Ah, okay. So it's like Iron Man armor. Hey, Grogu, he just mentioned the Force, buddy. You should probably use it.
No.
Really? You guys decided to go after him instead of him? Hey, Dan, if my pet theory about you having the Force is gonna be correct at any time, now's the time for it to be correct. Come on, man. Reach out with a power you never realized you had and crush Moff Gideon like a beer can after Labor Day. I'm not ever gonna let go of that theory. My headcanon will be that Din Djarin has the Force until they definitively say he doesn't. That was pretty cool. Grogu, the Force, buddy. There you go. Okay, you guys are looking like scrubs at the moment. You had that badass scene against Paz Vizsla only to be scrubs against Grogu. Then, seriously, direct fighting is not going to work here. Do something different. Oh, okay, so it's going to be her that does it. That makes sense, though. She had a personal vendetta against him. There you go, Grogu. Finally, you get over the power amnesia. Use a piercing motion to get through the armor there, Bo-Katan. Nicely done, Grogu. That's the way you do it. Well, dude, I hope you have a way to abandon ship right now. Otherwise, you're screwed. Stop aiming at his staff and aim at him. Are you really gonna... What? Now there is no Sword of Destiny. Oh, and now you've had your helmet properly taken off. Any version of the Creed, she's no longer a Mandalorian.
Mandalorians are weak once they lose their trinkets.
Mandalorians are stronger together.
Yeah. Show him the power of friendship. Nothing can defeat the power of friendship. Okay, so real talk. I know Star Wars is magic and everything, but like, that ship coming down should release so much energy when it goes up that it really shouldn't, they shouldn't be able to reach minimum safe distance, you know? I will say though, I like the fact that they're not just gonna like leave it to chance for him to be taken out. They're gonna finish the job. There's no way that little shield is gonna protect you from that. This should release a catastrophic, almost nuclear scale explosion. Oh. Okay, never mind. That was pretty cool, Grogu. Good time to remember the Force. And then the reactor in the ship goes up and everyone dies.
Why are you the way that you are?
Summon the Mythosaur! Wait, is Grogu about to take the Creed? But he can't properly talk yet. He can't say this is the way, can he?
He is too young to speak, so he is too young to take the creed. He must remain a foundling.
We're about to get our first proper words from Grogu.
If his parent gave permission, couldn't he then become a Mandalorian apprentice?
Yes, but his parents are far from here.
No, they're not.
They are even alive.
Yep, and here come the glasses are gonna have to come off right now, I think.
Then I will adopt him.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Let it be written in song that Din Djarin is accepting this foundling as his son.
Just making it official.
You are now Din Grogu.
Oh,
Mandalorian.
wait, Dennis is. I didn't realize that Djarin was his given name. I thought Din was. You seeing the Mythosaur down there, buddy? See what I mean? Grogu is the Mandalore. He's gonna be the one who tames the Mythosaur, like the Mandalore of legend. I don't understand how this thing uses fire. Seriously, man, what kind of fuel does this thing use? I need to know. Is there any actual physics in Star Wars? Magic. This is really nice, seeing the Mandalorians come together again instead of fighting over silly differences, like whether or not to wear a fucking helmet.
How dare you mock our faith, you little punk!
Now I want chicharrones.
Your kid sure likes the trophy.
Hey!
It's not him, kid.
Yeah, but it might contain a whatchamacallit unit. Oh wait, but the whole body was destroyed this time, wasn't it?
You want to work for the New Republic?
Wait a minute, you about to become a
Basis. An
Oh, okay.
independent contractor.
freelancer? For a second I thought he was actually about to take the marshal stripes.
It'll never get approved.
Which is why you won't tell them.
Let me think about it.
You already did. What I want in return is that.
So I guess IG-11's body didn't get destroyed.
I want to give you this deed to a cabin just outside of town where you can lay low with your new family.
Thank you.
Hey, you promised him a massive estate, not a freaking cabin just outside of town. I was there. You really just can't trust these freaking politicians, man.
I have a gift for you as well.
I am IG-11, your new marshal. Your new
Marshal?
of Navarre.
That's pretty cool.
I am at your disposal, and serve at your pleasure.
I have so many questions. Like, how does this work? I mean, his original memory circuit was destroyed, which means he was destroyed. So this is just a new memory circuit. It's a completely different, person. You're gonna eat that poor frog. That was a cute little ending. So I'm guessing there's going to be an after credits on this one, definitely.
Well, you'd be wrong.
Interesting episode. I'm kind of surprised that the darksaber got destroyed. I mean, they made such a big deal out of it, but again, this does, like, a lot of stuff happened in this that obviously brought closure to the big Mandalorians reclaiming their home and their heritage kind of thing, and healing the schism, all that kind of stuff. I'm still annoyed by the whole The Spies title for the previous episode, because again, like I said, we only got one spy in that episode, and it seemed like it was just like a big, I don't know, kind of like bait and switch, because it's a title that was meant to make us think that there was some sort of double cross waiting within the Mandalorians, in one of the factions, or some person that we felt like we could trust, who would turn out to not be what they claimed, and that had no payoff, and that's kind of aggravating. All the other stuff got sort of tied up with a pretty decent bow here. But I would say that the biggest thing this episode did, in terms of the overall story, in my mind anyway, you guys let me know in the comments whether you agree with me here, but this finale just cemented the idea that the legendary Mandalore, so to speak. Now, and I don't know whether he'll actually end up leading the Mandalorians, like as having the actual title of Mandalore, but like this series, definitely the Mandalorian of the title is Grogu, because we got that nice little setup with him basically reaching out and touching the mind of the mythosaur, which echoes back to the first Mandalore, who is important to remember was not human. Like somebody pointed that out in the comments for me. I did not know that, because I didn't know really anything about Mandalorian history. But the original Mandalorians, I guess, were not humanoid. They were humanoid. They had vaguely human shape and everything, but they weren't humans. And so again, it'd be kind of a neat. It's always neat when you have these things that sort of echo one another. So it's like a rebirth in a way. So Grogu, not a human, tames the mythosaur. Granted, using the Force. As far as I know, the original Mandalorian or the Mandalore did not have the Force, but who knows? Then you have the legendary Mandalore, who was also a Jedi, who created the darksaber. Darksaber just got destroyed. If Grogu at some point also completes his Jedi training and is a Mandalorian, we all know that a big part of that is forging yourself a new lightsaber. He could create a brand new, improved darksaber. You know what I mean? So he could become the first, I guess only the second in history that we know of, Mandalorian Jedi, make himself a brand new darksaber, tame the mythosaur using the Force, and just like become this new legend, So I just think that's where we're ultimately going with this. At the time of me watching this, I think I read a report that Pedro Pascal is exiting the series. So I don't know if they knew that before they filmed this. I'm assuming they didn't. But I'm not sure how that's going to affect the narrative going forward. Obviously, since he always keeps a helmet on, there are fewer challenges to surmount in terms of like replacing him in the role if that's the way they want to go. I don't think they, considering that he just adopted Grogu and everything else, it would not make sense to me at all for them to write the character out. So I'm thinking they're just going to find a way to just replace Pedro. It's a shame because I'm sure it was really just over money or something. Because, I mean, again, headlines this show, his star is rising because he did a fantastic job in The Last of Us. And from what I understand, got paid a lot better doing that show than he did for this. So yeah, it's probably his representation tried to renegotiate his contract. And in my mind, if it really just came down to giving him a few $100,000 more per episode, Disney should have just gone ahead and done that. He's a great actor. I think he brings a lot to this role. It's very hard to convincingly act, even though I know he wasn't always the person in the suit, but it is very hard to convincingly act without showing your face, and I think that he did a very good job doing that. And I think, I don't know, his voice also just lent an air to character that I found interesting because, typically these types of characters, you expect them to sound all, a certain way, and it's very sort of stereotypical, rough kind of sounding voice, the sort of faceless protagonist. And he brought a lot of sort of like a softer tone to it and a kind of like a, I don't know, like a lightheartedness at the same time as being serious. It's kind of hard to explain, but he brought complexity to his vocal performance as well that you don't usually expect to hear in that type of role. So yeah, I'm gonna miss him if they just go the route of replacing him. Hopefully they can work something out before the fourth season gets underway and just kick him a little bit more money. Disney you guys literally have enough money to be your own country at this point. Just kick the man some more money.
You don't fucking talk to me like that!
But yeah, I enjoyed the season overall. There were definitely some janky moments, especially the first episode that just like seemed to just be him wandering around, going from place to place just to get certain things set up so that they can revisit them later. And the little side mission kind of thing with the X-Wing pilot. At some point I will learn his name, where he went to Coruscant for something that I don't know. I don't know if that needed a trip to Coruscant, especially considering how this episode ended with him making sort of like an under the table agreement with Din. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to start calling him Jaren now that I know that Din is essentially the equivalent of a surname. It just, I don't know. There's weird little moments like that kind of make no sense to me. But on balance, as you guys can tell by the look on my face, I did enjoy the season. There were a lot of great, fist pumping moments. There was a lot of good action. It was a lot of fun to see Jaren interact with Bo-Katan. So I'm gonna. It's weird because shouldn't she be Kryze Bo-Katan? So confused by how their names work now. Or is it like a thing where the first part of your name is taken from the first name or the given name of the person who raises you? So it's like Din is Jaren's given name, but it becomes like the surname of Grogu because he's raising him. And then Grogu's given name will become the surname of whoever he raises. I'm gonna have to look that up. I know it's something that doesn't really matter in the great scheme of things, but I need to know. It's just like it's just the way my brain works. I have to know how this works.
Wow, you're an actual nerd, aren't you?
It's good to see Moff Gideon get taken down. It was, we had that epic, noble sacrifice that Paz Vizsla made, even though there are some good arguments to be made for the idea that he really didn't need to sacrifice himself there. I personally fall on the side of understanding why he chose to go out the way he did, because basically there was a choke point that they would have to pass, and he was there just to make it harder for them to get to the choke point. So it's like an extra layer just to give more time. So to me, it actually did make sense. But we saw also that the Night Owls had minds and everything, so they also could have just done a staged pullout, phased pullout, and just dropped mines on their way back through that choke point, which would have kind of served the same purpose, I think. But I don't know. That's last episode, not this episode. But I guess I am talking about sort of the whole season. You know, I don't know. It's like there were just some weird moments, but they did not keep me from enjoying the season. Like I said, there were way more good, like great moments, honestly, than there were bits of jank. And I'm gonna assume that most people agree with that. But if you don't, again, let me know in the comments. Oh, but one thing I have to say, obviously you can like or dislike whatever you want, you know, including my videos. But please, guys, when you are out there watching people's reactions, don't ratio their videos based on how you felt about what they're reacting to. Because I had someone, I think it was like episode 6, I think, of the season, where Grogu got his rondelle from the armor, who disliked my video because he didn't like the show. It's like, guys, I don't make the show. The reactors you see reacting to the show don't make the show. If you like a show or dislike a show, that shouldn't have anything to do with whether you like or dislike someone's reaction to it. So just, I don't know, just remember that. It's like when you see someone on like Amazon or whatever leave a review for a product, and the first line in the review is something like, you know, I didn't try this product, but, you know, or they're reviewing the delivery in the product review. It's like, you know, it's like, so they give it like 2 stars because something went wrong with the delivery, but then it's like, but the product was awesome. It's like, you're supposed to be rating the product, not the delivery. You know, I don't know. It's just weird. You know, just remember what you're actually like liking or disliking. It's like the reviewer and the reactors have nothing to do with the actual thing. They're just reacting to it.
Unsubscribe.
But anyway, I digress. Yeah, I say, you know, I don't think I'm gonna start doing this in the future, because I'm really not. But I do kind of feel like, you know, it's a good idea to sort of sum up with a rating almost. Like, so I would say this season gets like a B, you know. There was a little more jank in it than I think the previous 2 seasons, but it still entertained me. I still enjoyed it. I still love these characters, and having Bo-Katan come into it and gave me a new character to love as well. And so we had another person whose journey I'm looking forward to seeing in the future. I hope they don't just drop her out of the story now that we've gotten a bit of closure for her overall arc. I want to see more of the Mandalorians. I want to see them rebuilding their culture. I want to see how they go up against this resurgent empire as it transitions into the First Order and all of that, with Grand Admiral Thrawn, who I guess that part of the story will be over before the First Order emerges. The First Order should come about after he comes around with the new empire. But yeah, you know, there's a lot to look forward to, and I like the way that they ended the season. And I just can't wait to see what happens next. And I'm definitely rambling now, because I'm going, again, I should say, because I'm going all over the place. So I'm going to stop. Like I said, let me know what you guys thought of the season and this finale, and what you're most excited to see come about next. I think we have the Ahsoka series premiering in like a month or 2. I have to double check the timeline on that, but I think they've said when it's going to happen. And also, yeah, let me know whether or not you guys want to see me react to the Star Wars cartoons, and how you would like to see that, because I've mentioned before, I have seen the first 6 seasons of the Clone Wars, so I haven't seen the new season that they made, and I haven't seen any of the animated stuff after that. So I definitely want to react to the animated stuff after Clone Wars at some point. But one thing that I'm very curious to hear your opinion on is whether I should also react to the seasons of the Clone Wars that I have seen. It has been long enough that I probably don't remember them in detail, but obviously it's not going to be the same as a fresh reaction where I go into it not knowing anything. So I've just been kind of contemplating on my own how I should approach that, like whether I should do some sort of like recap / review kind of thing, or maybe try my hand for the first time at doing actual analysis videos, or if I should do rewatches, and if I do the rewatch, like how that should work. So yeah, any input you guys have on that would be very helpful, and especially because these reactions ultimately are for you guys, so how you want to see them is something that actually matters to me as like part of my decision making process. But yeah, can't think of anything else to say, so I'm just gonna go ahead and sign off. As always, do your best to stay safe and be well. Join me for the next season of Mandalorian and for all the other Star Wars stuff that's coming down the pipe, and for everything else on the channel. And I will see you for whatever that is, whatever's next. May the Force be with you. Bye-bye.
You don't belong here.
No, I'm Gary from logistics on the 33rd floor. Yeah, they sent me down to take a look at something.
Oh, you must know Harold up there.
Oh yeah, he's my buddy. There is no Harold in logistics.
And scene.